Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, I want to take a look at Render. And I just want to say this up front. I have done a lot of research on this cryptocurrency. It is one of my new favorite crypto projects out there. I am, whatever you want to call it, render pilled. I am in many regards. And I do want to share with you some positives, some things to keep an eye out, because here's the deal. I think that a lot of people are expecting this to 100x or something like that as a cryptocurrency. And I can't see a path to a 100x, but I am bullish. I'm bullish over the next bull run. I expect it to put in a new all-time high, and I am even more bullish over this decade. And so some of you may not want to hear about the next decade. You want to hear about the next year, the next 2 years. And so, yeah, I'm excited about the next year and after that, but I am much more excited about what Render is going to look like in 2030 or late 2020s, something like that. And so if you are willing to play the long game with this, you are going to see fantastic returns, at least in my opinion. If you're going to play the short game, you can still see good returns. So let's go ahead and take a look at Render. This, I'm so excited about this. And by the way, not a promotion. It's just I'm looking at the numbers, okay, and I'm liking what I'm seeing here. So what is Render? The Render network provides near unlimited decentralized GPU computing power for the next generation 3D content creation. It was launched in 2017, and the Render network is the first decentralized GPU rendering platform. It empowers artists to create 3D creations. I'm looking for where it says, 3D content creation. I've already read that. But we have an ability with Render to utilize power that we might not have ever had the opportunity to use before. Now, this is something personally that I am not using, but I am curious to know how are people using this network. And what I'm seeing from a use case perspective is something that just really excites me numbers wise. And so really simple. Let's take a look at that. Where do we have that here? Network metrics. So this is what initially got me excited, and then there were other things that got me even more excited. Looking at network metrics here, 2021 frames rendered 5,954,000, etc. Render used, RNDR used 1.5 million. Average render price 97 cents. Cost per frame 24 cents, etc., etc. So, okay, think about 2021 in crypto, in the crypto market, in comparison to 2022, because what you see in 2022 is an increase in the usage of this network. And when we think of 2021, we think peak euphoria. When we think of 2022, that was just a miserable year in crypto, to where we bottomed out in November of 2022. And the fact that I'm seeing growth in this network in the depths of misery of the bear market, that is amazing to me. And so we can see there, frames rendered, about a 60% increase. RNDR used, about a, 25% increase or so, etc. And so this is something that doesn't have to be tied nearly as much to bull markets and bear markets, which if you're going to offer me a cryptocurrency, I mean, it is tied as of right now, but in the future, it doesn't have to be tied as much. If you're going to offer me a cryptocurrency that I could just generally accumulate, that would get me very excited. And we'll be there one day. We're not there yet. And we can see their projections for growth of the network. This doesn't look like all that much, but you've got to see that this is a logarithmic scale here. So, around 10 million, a little over between 10 and 100 million in 2024, number of frames rendered, emissions. But then this is what really excites me here, the render burn. And so we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but this is an inflationary cryptocurrency right now, and I think that over time this is going to become deflationary, which is going to drive the price up big time. But that's that's the thing you have to be patient with this. But so, all right, they are making projections, and of course they're going to be optimistic, but they're making projections on frames rendered to a point where maybe they're doing 1 billion a year or close to 1 billion. Right now, that would be a 100x in frames rendered. So would that also be a 100x in RNDR used? And now they have a burn, so let's talk about what that means, because that is a recent development. Where do we have that here? We have a All right, Render's new RNDR's new tokenomics model. This is so key because if they could turn this cryptocurrency like very highly deflationary based off of their projections. So the project DAO has voted 100% to adopt a new tokenomics model, which they call the burn and mint equilibrium model. With this model, instead of users paying in RNDR for services rendered, they will now pay in USD with the equivalent value of RNDR being burnt, continuously reducing the supply of the RNDR token. That is off the charts amazing, especially, I mean, if we're getting to 1 billion frames rendered, yeah, so I mean, render would have to increase in price pretty dramatically at that time, and then for people to purchase the USD equivalent of, let's say, $10 of render, you know, but there is a limited supply, and that supply is decreasing over time. That means that less and less render will be, RNDR will be used and burnt, but aggressive burn over time. And so it is 95%. Let's say somebody spends $100. $95 of render will be purchased and burnt. And that will happen for forever, you know, for a very long time until they change their tokenomics model, which maybe they won't. So 95%, a 95% burn in, you know, X amount of render being used, of RNDR being used. And what we're talking about here, you know, frames rendered, 5 million, 6 million, 2022, 10 million, I would guess closer to 15 million in 2023. The amount of money that's spent, $2.5 million. So if you think about $2.5 million in 2022 of render being spent, of RNDR being bought, and then 95% of that being burned. Render right now has a $690 million market cap. That plays a bit of a role in decreasing the supply, but also keeping the price and increasing the price, which will have an effect on the cryptocurrency itself. But as this grows, as the network grows, that's billions of dollars being spent, not millions. Or, well, all right, if it's a billion and we're looking at it like this from, so 10 million transactions, 9.5 million, $2.5 million being spent, that's about 26 cents, there we go, 26 cents per frame. So let's say 26 cents per frame, but we have 1 billion frames. That's not 2.5 million. That's $250 million of render needing to be bought. And this is irregardless, that's not a word, irregardless, I don't know, whatever, of whether we are in a bull market or a bear market. You've got to see this. This is super bullish for this over the long term. Now, some concerns, short term. I've talked about this already in other videos, at least on my TikTok, but let me talk about it now. RNDR render right now is too highly inflationary, but they changed their tokenomics, and so hopefully I'm hoping that this will become deflationary over time. There is a current circulating supply of 372 million render RNDR in circulation. At its peak in 2021, there was 154 million RNDR in circulation. So that's about 2.5 times more supply now than when it peaked in 2021. And so you can see, if you compare, do this with every cryptocurrency you research. Compare the price to the market cap. Price isn't looking all that bad in comparison to its 2021 peak. That had a huge move up in the fall of 2021. But then look at its market cap. Almost did a double peak. It's about half of where it was at its all-time high. So the market cap isn't all that much down from its peak in 2021, but the price is a lot more down. And so you've got to keep that in mind. And I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at what is the best case scenario for render over the next bull run. I mean, there's lots of things that could absolutely blow you away, but you've got to consider this is already the 49th biggest crypto in market cap. It's a large crypto, and it'll do very well in market cap. It already got to a $1.2 billion market cap in 2021, and so we're not seeing 100x for this. We're just not. We're not going to see this. I mean, some of you are going to argue with this, I would assume, where I don't believe that we're going to see a $68 billion render in terms of market cap. But as far as I'm concerned, my price target, I'm sorry to say, like, there are no render market cap charts on TradingView, except there's one that's just literally a few days old that I found. But here's the fibs. Here's what the fibs would look like based off of Render's all-time high in market cap to its bear market bottom. So Render's all-time high, a $1.2 billion market cap, bear market bottom right here, about $50 million. And so here, in my opinion, is what we're looking at over these next couple of years. And I think this is a good euphoria peak for Render, and I'm factoring in euphoria. I'm factoring in all the wild swings and looking at how much money that they're making right now in frames rendered, but then the potential for growth, all of that. A 4.236 extension, putting it a little under $5 billion in market cap, in my opinion, is the best case scenario. And so some of you are going to be disappointed when I show you what that price looks like, okay? And I'll do that right now. So 4.9 billion divided by, let's say, so Render circulating supply is 372 million right now. Let's say at the peak of the next euphoria, whether that's late 2024, late 2025, or even into 2026, that there's 400 million Render in circulation, RNDR in circulation. That gives us a price of $12.37 at the peak of euphoria. So not even a 10x from today's prices. So some of you, I know you're going to be really disappointed hearing that price, especially considering the fact that Render peaked at $7 in 2021. But here's the deal. I mean, if we were talking about supply in circulation at the same point as 2021, 154 million instead of 400 million, that would give us a price target of close to $30. And I think a lot of you would be like, oh yeah, I could totally see Render at $30. But you've got to factor in this inflation here. You've got to factor in how much the supply has inflated. And so I'm sorry, I'm sorry to give you the news that I believe that this is going to do a 6x best case scenario. But that is what I do believe. And so, again, be here for the 6x. I think that's fantastic. But over the long haul, I would expect to see Render well over $100. I could even see this cryptocurrency going to like 4 figures this decade. I mean, look at that. That's a 500x. Would you be okay with a 500x over the next 6 years? I'd be okay with that. So again, I'm buying Render. I'll sell some at the top. I will not sell my entire bag, but I hope to sell some at the top. But I will be accumulating this very heavily. Let's say we have typical euphoria 2025, next bear market. I am all in on Render. Oh my goodness, I can't even begin to describe to you how excited I am about purchasing this when that time comes, even more so than right now. So anyway, that is all I have for today. If you disagree, I know people are really passionate about Render. Let me know your comments in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I will see you in another video, but remember to smash up that like button, subscribe to the channel.